There is a bill in the Senate to codify Heller and Bruen, and I'm against it. Let's go ahead and talk about it. What's up, Wolverines, and welcome back to John Crump News, where we talk about everything 2A related. I'm your host with COVID. Kind of sucks. I'm feeling terrible, but I will get through it. John Crump. I'm an investigative journalist, and I keep an eye on gun rights and the gun industry itself. Today, we're going to talk about two different topics. The first one is I need your help, and I'm not going to be able to explain too much, but if you are a disabled shooter in Arizona, Montana, Maine, Alaska, West Virginia, or Pennsylvania, I need to hear from you, and I need to hear from you soon. So go ahead and email me at info@crumpy.com, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. If I don't get back to you by tomorrow afternoon, email me again just in case I missed it. I get a lot of emails. Okay, so the second thing we're going to talk about is the Senate trying to codify Bruen and Heller, but it's not all as it seems. The Respect the Second Amendment Act is introduced by Lindsey Graham, who was one of the architects of the Cornyn bill, which surrendered some gun rights. He is joined by Grassley Cornyn, who was the main negotiator in giving away our gun rights, Lee, Cruz, Hockley, Cotton, Kennedy, Tillis, and Marsha Blackburn. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about this bill. It seems like it's a good bill until you actually read it. The Bruen decision said the original text and tradition of the Second Amendment. And if you listen to any of these senators talk, you would think this is what it does, but it doesn't. It gets rid of the whole entire original text of the Second Amendment part and replaces it with the standard that the federal government must demonstrate a law regulating firearms is consistent with this nation's historical traditions of firearms regulations. All right, now let's talk about where the problem is. With the Bruen decision, it says the original text and historical traditions of the Second Amendment. So most people, 11th Circuit might not agree, or at least that panel, but I think the whole en banc will agree with this, that it is talking about when the Second Amendment was ratified. It's not talking about any other time in history. Now with this, liberal lawmakers can say 90 years ago, there was this little thing called the NFA, and that is part of the historical tradition of regulating firearms. And they wouldn't be wrong because that is a historical tradition. It's just in the wrong place, but they could use that, or they can say back in 1988, that's history. Do you see what I'm saying? There is no specification of when they are talking about. They don't specify. They are talking about when the Second Amendment was ratified, which the Bruen decision did when it talked about the original text of the Second Amendment. In fact, that was left out, and I'm pretty sure it was intentional. Lindsey Graham and John Cornyn and them are rhinos. Not everyone who signed on to this bill are rhinos, but those guys are. And this is just to try to appease you, to try to trick you into voting for these jackwagons again, even though that they are rhinos and they are doing this just as a show to their base. There's no chance of this even passing, but if they do introduce a bill, it should have teeth. And this has no teeth to bite back against anything. In fact, it actually probably does more harm than it does good. And that's the reason why I am totally against this bill, because if this does pass, Biden could sign it. I don't think he will, but if he did, liberal lawmakers would be able to point to this federal law and say, hey, we are acting within the federal law, and then it would have to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would have to do a bunch of crap, and who knows if they even take a gun case. So for that reason, with this law, I'm out. And with that, I'm out of here. I'm going to go lay back down. Actually, I got to write an article. I'm under deadline. Wow. All right, guys. Stay ever vigilant. Stay ever free. Keep in the fight. I am out of here. Oh, by the way, if you like what I do here, like, comment, and subscribe. And I also have a Patreon, locals, and all that good stuff where you can help me do my job. Wolverine's mother.